Swatantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Prabhupada Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Srivalam Sarvaitam Sarvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Radha Namosute Tata Kanchana Gauragi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Panchakalpatru Vishta Kripa Sindhu Vevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you again for having me. So as we said, we're speaking about Nrsimhadev today, and I thought it would be really nice to do a few things today. We'll speak a little bit about the appearance of Nrsimhadev, who appears in a few weeks' time, and then I want to speak a little bit about Krishna's love for his devotees, because when we speak about Nrsimhadev, we know that Nrsimhadev comes to protect Prahlad Maharaj in the pastime. He's coming out of love for his devotee. And then lastly, I thought it'd be really nice, if we have time, I also want to allow some time for questions at the end, but I thought it'd be really nice if we can at least meditate on a prayer, if not make that sort of formal prayer today, to make a small commitment towards Krishna, doing something towards our relationship with Krishna. And maybe if we get some time today afterwards when we sing the Nrsimhadev prayers, we can keep that in mind, and we can humbly ask Nrsimhadev to protect our promise, protect our commitment, protect our vow maybe even. But if not, then maybe it's something to meditate on the next few weeks, and on Nrsimhadev Chaturdashi, which happens at the end of the month, you can make that also prayer and that promise then. So, when we speak about the Nrsimhadev pastime, we know that it starts with Hiranyakashipu, who's a demon, and he wanted to become immortal, and he was also very envious of Vishnu, because there's an earlier pastime that happens between Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, which is his brother, and his brother was killed by an incarnation of Vishnu, and so he was also very not only envious of Vishnu or Krishna, but he was also sort of had marked him as his enemy and wanted to actually become better than Krishna. And so after performing some severe austerities, he asked Lord Brahma to make him immortal. And Brahma said that he can't do this because Brahma also has a limited lifespan, and he's not immortal himself. So then he asked, and some of us may know this, there are certain conditions that he asked for. He said, okay, if you can't make me immortal, then I want it, please make it so that I can't be killed by any living entity in this world. Make it so that I can't be killed on any place, any covered place or uncovered place, like inside or outside. He also asked, okay, make it so that I can't be killed day or night. And make it so that I can't be killed by any hand or any weapon. And make it so that I can't be killed on the land or in the air, and not by any human or any animal. And as soon as he gets this boon from Lord Brahma, he starts terrorizing the universe. He starts destroying and disrupting Vedic sacrifices. He's enjoying the material pleasures of this world, and he actually became completely insane, completely mad, thirsty for material pleasure. And eventually, he has a son, And his son, by the name of Prahlad, is visited by Narada Muni in the womb. And Narada Muni speaks to Prahlad about the essence of Krishna consciousness. And Prahlad actually becomes, before he's even born, he becomes a devotee. And so we have Brahma here who's saying, so be it. And Hiranyakashipu is asking for all of these conditions. By the way, this comic that I'm showing on throughout the slides, this is by a devotee called Charu Chandra Prabhu. I can send his website or something afterwards. But it's a really amazing comic which is based on the Nrsimhadev pastime, and it's a really nice way of visualizing the whole story, the whole pastime. So as we said, Brahma gives him this boon, this blessing, and immediately Hiranyakashipu starts abusing it. He starts terrorizing the universe. And at this time, as we said, Prahlad is a devotee, he becomes basically a pure devotee. And as he's growing up through school, he starts speaking to his classmates about Krishna, and they also become devotees. But Hiranyakashipu, being so envious of Krishna, he becomes enraged hearing this. And he actually tries to kill Prahlad. But each attempt fails whenever he tries to kill him. And he tries different things. He asks his servants, because he's like the king, so he asks his servants to throw him off a mountain or to trample him by elephants. All of these different things. And each time he's somehow or other escapes and isn't killed. And we see a very strong difference actually between Hiranyakashipu and Prahlad Maharaj. Hiranyakashipu is really insecure, he's very anxious, he's selfish, self-centered, he's always taking, he's always just thinking about himself. And he's actually, because of this insecurity and always like a constant fear of losing his opulence, he's actually always trying to arrange protection for his things, for his opulence. So he's actually, because he's so insecure, he's always chasing something to defend it, and he's always anxious to lose it. And Prahlad, in contrast, is self-realized, he's selfless, he's equipoised, he's not affected when all these attempts on his life. He simply just continues speaking about Krishna, continuing with this spiritual practice. He's also serving, always serving, constantly serving. He's always giving Krishna to others, speaking about Krishna, serving Krishna. And he's also always fearless, whereas Hiranyakashipu was always fearful about losing his opulence. Prahlad Maharaj was always fearless in giving Krishna to others, feeling protected by Krishna, and knowing that he's a spirit soul, and this life is just one of many. We're born in this body, we stick around for some time, and then eventually we leave. And eventually, Hiranyakashipu becomes even more enraged, hearing about the glories of Krishna. And because he couldn't handle hearing that he's not the best and the strongest in the universe, he then starts to advertise himself as being greater than Krishna, greater than being the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Prahlad Maharaj continually challenges him and saying he's not God, and starts to glorify Krishna instead. So then, there's this one point in the story, in the comic, where Hiranyakashipu becomes even more enraged, and he asks, where is this Krishna? Where is this Krishna this Supreme Krishna that you're speaking of? And Prahlad Maharaj says, he's present everywhere. And Hiranyakashipu asks, famous point where he says, if he's within this column of the palace, of the kingdom. And Prahlad Maharaj says yes. And immediately he breaks the column with his fist. Hiranyakashipu smashes the column with his fist, and out of the pillar comes Nrsimhadev. Nrsimhadev then fought Hiranyakashipu and eventually killed him. But how did he kill him? Because he had all of these blessings, this boon. Not to be killed by any living entity. Well, Nrsimhadev is not a normal living entity like us living entities. He's the Supreme. So he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He asked not to be killed in any place, covered or uncovered, inside or outside. He was killed actually on the porch of the palace, so he was neither inside nor outside. He asked not to be killed during day or night, and actually when he was killed by Nrsimhadev, it was at dusk, so between day and night. He asked not to be killed by any hand or weapon. He's actually killed by the nails of Nishingdev, or the claws, no hand or weapon. And asked to be, the part of the blessing was also to not be killed on land or in the air. And he was actually killed on Nishingdev's lap. And finally, as we know, not by any human or animal, but both, or neither, complete animal or human, were killed by a half-man, half-lion incarnation of Krishna, Nara and Singha. Nara meaning human or man, and Singh meaning lion, like Singapore. Kripamoy Prabhu actually shares this quote quite often about that he heard directly from Srila Prabhupada that then Prabhupada had his hand like this, and he said, "These claws very sharp for the demons," and then he said, "Oh, but this palm very soft for the devotees." And I was thinking about this as we speak through this pastime, that we see that how angry and how ferocious that Nrsimhadev is, that he comes to protect his devotee. And why does he come to protect his devotee? Because he loves his devotees so much. And why does he love his devotees so much? In one sense, there's an eternal reason. But there's also a more kind of individual reason. And in this very famous book by Shriram Swami called Sarva Hridayam Mayam, All Saints in My Heart, it's about the story of Ambarish Maharaj and Durvarsha Muni. And in this pastime, in summary, Durvarsha Muni curses Ambarish Maharaj, who is a pure devotee. And eventually, throughout the pastime, he's speaking to Krishna, or Vishnu, and he's asking why he loves his devotees so much. Why does Krishna love you? Why do you love your devotees so much? And he specifically mentions Prahlad Maharaj, and I want to read this exact quote from the book, which I think is really beautiful. He says, "In this world, there is a devotee who is exceptionally dear to the Lord, Prahlad Maharaj. He is greater than all the Lord's servants in Vaikuntha, including Garuda, Vishvakaya, and even Lakshmi. Although the Lord's body is the origin of all the demigods and the source of pleasure for devotees like us, he considers his body worthless compared to the value of Prahlad." And then Durvarsha Muni asks how Prahlad Maharaj is dearer than even his eternal associates like Garuda and Lakshmi. And Krishna then replies, "My eternal associates are certainly situated in unswerving devotion. However, they never underwent tribulation to gain pure devotion like those you call my new devotees in the material world. These new devotees sacrificed all comforts and attachments just to attain me. For the trouble they have taken, I consider them heroic, and I remain eternally in their debt." So I want to speak about this because I feel it's very inspiring for me, being on this path, that it's a reciprocal relationship with Krishna. For us, for devotees, we're always trying to think, how can I please Krishna? What can I do for Krishna? What would be more pleasing for Krishna more than my own pleasure, maybe my own happiness? And it comes from actually a deep gratitude. I find that it really helps to come from a deep place of appreciation for everything that Krishna is giving us. And when we have that deep appreciation, what happens? We want to reciprocate. And when we reciprocate, Krishna then reciprocates with us. And it becomes this beautiful kind of dance of me giving everything to Krishna, or me doing something for Krishna, me dedicating some time to Krishna, and Krishna then reciprocating and making himself more present in my life. And Srila Prabhupada says this as well in one letter, that he says, if Krishna doesn't supply the sunlight, you'll die, and he doesn't charge anything. But because you're a human being, you should try to repay. Krishna, you're so kind, you're giving me so many things. And as we said, then we give something. Then Krishna reciprocates with our giving. Not that he needs anything from us, he owns everything, but he accepts everything that we offer to Krishna, because he accepts the love, sort of like the envelope for our love. So we offer him some food. There's a very famous verse in the Gita that if one offers me a fruit, a flower, some water, or a tulsi leaf, I'll accept it. If you offer it with love and devotion, Krishna says he'll accept it. And so he accepts the endeavor. He accepts whatever small thing we do for Krishna, he accepts it. One of our devotees in London, Buddha Bhavanapuri, also said this, and he said this maybe almost 10 years ago, and it really left an impression on me. He said that for the devotee, it's all about Krishna, but for Krishna, it's all about his devotees. And the pure devotees especially, once they have reached that self-realized state where they actually don't care for their own well-being, as long as they get to serve Krishna, as long as they remember Krishna birth after birth. Prabhupada also speaks about this sometimes in his classes, that devotees are even prepared to go to hell, even as long as they can remember Krishna. Because they know that as long as I remember Krishna, I'm fine, actually. I can be anywhere. And just don't let me forget Krishna, Krishna's name, and devotional service to Krishna. But that's maybe a slightly more elevated stage to where we may feel ready for. So I think there's something in making something small, some small endeavor to get closer to Krishna. As we said earlier, making a commitment, trying something new. It's an active relationship, and therefore when we speak of spiritual life, it has to be experienced. Spiritual life has to be experienced. There are like 3 classes of intelligence. The first is that we hear and immediately we know. The second class is that we hear, but then we have to sometimes, kind of inquire and that sort of thing, and then we understand. We have to ask questions and then we find out. And the third class is that we have to experience. And unfortunately, in our Kali Yuga minds, we have to kind of experience certain things. And that also, there's a beauty in that in our Krishna consciousness, that we experience the loving relationship with Krishna. And when we do that, it becomes realized knowledge. In the finance world, they have this term, unrealized and realized gains. And when we speak of knowledge, we also have unrealized and realized knowledge. So, one devotee was saying, actually, Kadamba Swami made this point that we have in the Bhagavad Gita, we have 700 verses, and many devotees like to learn these verses, like to be able to recite them, like all of them, the whole chapter or all chapters of the Gita. And he said this is really nice, like if devotees can do this, it's really nice to be able to recite and memorize the whole Bhagavad Gita. But he said that it's like memorizing a cookbook. He said that if you can memorize a cookbook, it's really impressive because you can say all the ingredients and all the steps and what it's going to look like and everything. But he said what would be even more amazing is if you can take one verse from that, or one recipe from that cookbook, or one verse from the Bhagavad Gita, and really deeply realize it, really apply it to your life. And then that's even more impressive, if you can actually cook with it. So I think it's something, as I said, it's we develop that faith also, and in the topic of becoming fearless, it is about taking a risk for Krishna, putting ourselves out there for Krishna. And when we say risk, it feels a bit scary. It feels like I have to sacrifice like a lot of time or energy or money, or I'm gonna have to lose my whole life and give my whole life to this. But actually, it just starts with something small. And then, as we said, when we do something for Krishna, he reciprocates. He did something in return, and we can see it, we can feel it, we can experience it in our life. And internally, that can mean in our spiritual practice, in our sadhana, looking at also the things we need to work on, looking internally, and also externally in giving Krishna to others, looking at ways that we can, new innovative ways to give Krishna. Because this is also very important. In the last few verses of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that one who gives this knowledge to others is most dear to me, actually. And we see this also in the wonderful example of Srila Prabhupada, completely surrendered to Krishna, completely confident also, and completely fearless. There was one time where Srila Prabhupada was, because if anyone of you seen Srila Prabhupada, he's like very bold, right? He's like very confident, very bold. One devotee asked him once, why do you walk with your head held so high? And Srila Prabhupada said, because nothing can defeat me. At this point, obviously, if we had that from somebody, not a devotee, we would imagine immediately that's like an ego, it's their false ego, it's like a false confidence. Oh, this guy's full of himself. But with Srila Prabhupada, we can see he's so surrendered. He's actually completely surrendered to Krishna, and he knows that Krishna's got him. Krishna's protecting him, and therefore he can walk anywhere, give Krishna to anyone, even come to the West, which is like a extremely demoniac place in comparison to spiritual India. and give Krishna to others, and be completely confident that in all cases Krishna has a plan, and Krishna is going to protect him. So I think this took a lot shorter than I expected. So I have a couple of things. One, I'd really love to hear any questions, anything, any reflections you all would like to share. But one thing I wanted to share just this is in terms of making a commitment, because when we think of prayers and vows and offerings, we tend to jump between these two extremes. One is we don't push ourselves far enough or further enough. We stay in the comfort zone where we don't grow. Life is easy, simple, but it's boring. And then there's the other extreme of the pain zone, where life is too much, it's too overwhelming. We can't cope with our endless promises we make to Krishna or to everyone else in our life. It's unsustainable. But in between these two is the stretch zone, where we push ourselves in a sustainable, healthy, progressive way. And as I said, Nishingadev's appearance day is in a few weeks' time, which is a nice time to make a commitment. Make a promise to Krishna, make a commitment in our relationship. Whatever it is for us, for different people, will be different things, whether it's chanting 1 round a day, chanting an extra round a day, reading a verse of the Gita every day. It will take you like 30 seconds, I promise. But just something small. And actually see how Krishna reciprocates with that. Maybe try it for a month. They say it takes 60 days to develop a new habit for it to really stick. So if you do something for 60 days, then you're pretty much going to do it forever. So if you can, as you said, maybe chant a bit extra, read a bit extra, and maybe do some service as well, serve a bit extra, give some more time, and see how Krishna really responds. And really hold on to that, and also see how's it going, how's my progress with that particular promise. I think it's really amazing seeing so many devotees doing wonderful things all around the world. It's really incredible how much devotees are actually really, you can see it and sense it, they're really feeling this love for Krishna. How could we do it otherwise? There's a really nice pastime with Srila Prabhupada, and he asks the devotees, somehow or other there's like a bit of a debate or a back and forth with Prabhupada and some of his disciples, and he asks, why are you still here? Why are you still in this movement? What's keeping you going, keeping you inspired, keeping you motivated? And the disciples, the devotees say different things. They say, we know that Krishna is God, and we're worshipping God, and our service and our life is just for God, and that kind of thing. Prabhupada said, no, that's not it. And he said, the books, your books say this is our duty, we need to do this. This is important in life to have a spiritual life. Prabhupada said, no, that's not it. And there's a few other answers. And Prabhupada said none of these things actually, it's because Krishna is reciprocating and you're feeling the reciprocation and therefore you're still here. You're feeling the love. You're doing something for Krishna and you're feeling some connection. Even from the moment we're in our first kirtan, we chant our first round, we read one of Prabhupada's books and something hits us and we realize actually there's something in this and that keeps us going. So lastly, I just want to share this is the last part of the comic strip, which is really cool. And Krishna, as Nishingadev is saying, how he's always there to protect his devotees, he's always there to help us. And I just think it's really cool. So as I said, I think I went through these slides quite quickly, but I'd love to hear any questions, comments, reflections, criticism even, that you guys have. Please go for it, anything. Krishna's smiling, I feel like he's got something controversial to ask.
No, nothing. Just say, what's been your biggest realization when preparing this?
My biggest realization? Honestly, it's that I actually don't feel like I feel very humbled. I feel like as much as I'm talking about this love of Krishna, and in one sense, theoretically, I can understand it. As I was kind of preparing and meditating on this topic, I was thinking actually how much I feel like there is more to explore in spiritual life. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Cool. Anyone else at all? Yes, please.
Thank you. It was very crisp and nice. So
Oh,
thank
good.
you. My question is, you started with fearlessness.
Mm.
What is fearlessness as per your definition?
Ultimately, complete dependence on Krishna and Krishna's plan. Yeah. Is that good?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
It's just that, and you showed those 3 zones, but I was thinking, where is fearlessness here? Is it in the middle zone? Because we all have to remind ourselves when we feel fearful of anything, and so many things are there that keeps giving us thoughts, right? Which could sometimes give us fear, a lot of fear. And then we have to remind ourselves that, okay, Krishna is there. It doesn't come naturally, at least to me. So where is fearlessness here?
I would say fearlessness comes in the stretch zone. Fearlessness and faith are kind of intertwined, right, in definition. Like if we have faith, we're not fearful. If we're feeling fearless, we have faith in something, right? Even material fearlessness is some sort of faith in something. So it comes in the stretch zone where we know there's something. We have maybe some faith, some fearlessness, some sense of, okay, there's, if I do this, I've heard Krishna's going to reciprocate, Krishna's going to respond. So then I do that, I push myself a little bit more. Sometimes actually we can find in spiritual life, we push ourselves too much, as we said, into the panic zone, where our faith isn't aligned to the, is disproportionate to the amount of stretch that we're doing. So it's like, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and chant 64 rounds. Like my faith isn't at that, it might not be at that level. So that type of stretch, or we're saying stretch, that sort of stretch would be too strenuous to push myself. So the fearlessness that we're feeling has to be aligned to the amount we're stretching. But of course, in the beginning, we need to put ourselves out there a little bit. We need to take a risk in like the beginning of a spiritual life. We take a little step towards Krishna in the beginning, and then he responds, and then there's something here, there's something going on, and then we take more of a step. And as we say, often in our Krishna consciousness movement, that when we take one step towards Krishna, he takes like 1,000 steps towards us. Is that okay? Thank you. Thank you. Thanks so much. Yes?
I was just going to add to that, and I was going to have a reflection as opposed to a question. So I stayed at the Manor for 3 months, and I remember week 1, it was like Thursday, they're like, you're going to go to London, and you're going to do Harinam. I'm like, what's that? They're like, sing up and down the streets of Soho. I'm like, in devotional clothes, you're having a laugh. Like, people are going to know me, what are people going to think? Like, the false ego comes, the fear comes in, like, what are people going to think, judgment, and I can't even pretend I'm just trying to pass them because I'm wearing devotional clothes. So I am one of them. And I was like, oh my God, it was that fear of what people are going to think. And after a few weeks, you kind of get used to it. And then there was a new challenge, which was now we have to do book distribution. So now you want me to stop people and talk to them and tell them to take this book that I've never read. Like, that's out of my comfort zone. But it made me think, week 1, I found going on Harinam really out of my comfort zone. But now I'd rather do that. I'd rather not have to stop anybody, not talk to anybody, and just kind of just dance, sing and dance, and be on my merry way, than stop people, them ask me questions, me not know the answers. And then after that, I was like, okay, what if somebody makes me give a class? Now everybody's looking at me, and then what if I don't know my content? So I think the point is we're always going to be fearful of doing something new. But what helps me is knowing that I've conquered it once, and that became my comfort zone. So you have to break up your current comfort zone to be in your new comfort zone. And when we look at past things, we're like, actually, it was all right. It didn't turn out that well. It turned out well. So that gives you the confidence and faith, and reduces your fearfulness that the next thing's going to be okay.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, our comfort zone, when we come out of our comfort zones, it actually expands, as you said. So it becomes, and then that becomes comfortable. So then we push ourselves even more and try something new. And then, as we said, it keeps expanding, and we actually, we start to feel that boldness, that fearlessness, and want to do more and more. Thank you. Anyone else? Yes?
Yeah, so attending to the Mataji before Krishna, is surrender, so Sharanagati, right, and fearlessness one and the same thing, or it's like what came first, chicken or the egg? Do you have to have fearlessness to be able to surrender, or do you surrender and then hope that you are fearlessness in the act of surrender. Are you with me?
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, I think I would say that they're intertwined. Yeah, if you're surrendering, then you are feeling some fearlessness. You are seeing that you're doing it with some faith, as we said, sort of fearlessness, faith, and surrender, and they're all similar type words. They're all connected. So if I'm surrendering to Krishna, what does that mean? It means I'm not holding back out of fear to give something to Krishna, to give some time, to give some energy towards some service. I know that, and I think a lot of the time for us, I mean, in the topmost platform for us is serving Krishna, actually. It's that we are chanting and we're asking Krishna, please engage me in your service, let me do something for you. One translation of the Maha Mantra, the Hare Krishna mantra, is, my dear Radha, my dear Krishna, please engage me in your service. And in this way, we're asking Krishna, let me do something for you. And that's surrender, because then Krishna can say anything, and he can respond with something. And yeah, I think it's nice when we pray in that way, especially when we mean it sincerely, then Krishna gives us an opportunity to serve him. And it may not be the thing that we thought it might be. It may not always be giving Krishna to others in the way that we think it might be. It might always be doing books for distribution or Harinam. It might be sometimes speaking to people one-to-one. It may be more mentoring and counselling and asking questions. It may be giving talks, giving classes. All of these things, then Krishna kind of gives you an opportunity, and then we have to take it because we've asked for an opportunity. So, is that okay? Does that answer the question?
Yeah, I think my only, it's not an issue, it's just a reflection on what you just said. Sometimes we have quite young cohorts as well here, that sometimes they get so absorbed in, they hear service and it's like such a literal thing, that actually then they abstain from doing real life.
Yeah.
And there's got to be some sort of equilibrium or balance within that.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, service, we think service sometimes can mean like devotional, or sorry, like deity worship, kind of like something really traditional, like I'm offering arati to the deities. That's like very obvious service. I'm serving Krishna in his deity form. Service actually, most importantly, above all else, service is a consciousness. So there are devotees who are students and they're studying, and they see their studies, their degree or whatever they're working towards as a service. Because they know that if I do this degree, I'll be in a good position to actually do more for Krishna, so it's a service. And actually I'm going to offer the results of this service to Krishna. It's going to be part of my relationship with Krishna. And actually it helps, like the opposite side of that is it becomes more of a motivation to do this, to do the degree or whatever it is to study. And the same with work. Like I see my work as a stable platform or something that nourishes me so that I can give Krishna to others. And in that way I feel when I go to work, it's important to me because it's connected to myself and it's helping me serve Krishna. So then I focus on it, I try to work hard.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Prabhu, just on that, would you, because that's, what you said is, what we do as a degree or education, we can use that as, that is one of our services. But should we, because that can be an easy cop-out for anyone doing doing service at the temple or centre, to say, I'm doing a service, I'm doing it, so there's no need for me to come here. Yeah, so there is a balance there, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's that can, we can get into that place sometimes, definitely. And I think
I don't think it's as clear cut as that, because life happens sometimes, and so occasionally you draw back.
No, you do. No.
Okay,
But
to-
my point is, it's not just one. No, I'm just saying it's not one or the other. There has to be a mix of the two.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like you said, to your point, otherwise we can stay in comfort zone.
Yeah.
And we're not, because I'm going to work as
Yeah.
a service and not do anything on maybe the evenings or weekends, and not try it anymore. And as we know, I'm not married, but anyone who is married knows that in a relationship you have to keep the love alive. You have to, how to hear this, that, you have to always be making some sort of effort to connect. It's like an uphill endeavor. It's like an active endeavor that you have to always be, doing something proactively to keep it going. So the same, like we said about staying in the comfort zone. After some time being in Christian consciousness, there's like this comfort zone is also, there's a certain expectation. I've been involved in Christian consciousness for 10, 11 years now, and the things that would have been expected, or the things that were like a stretch for me 10 years ago, are now like the bare minimum I should be doing, because there's more expected of me. So in the same way, if we're doing our, in the beginning maybe it's like a little bit of service, a little bit of chanting, and as we progress, Krishna also, like that marriage example, he also expects more of us.
So you have to reevaluate all the time. So because your stretch, in year one, becomes your comfort in year two,
exactly.
and you reevaluate to see, okay, I need to stretch a little bit more and give a little bit more, because you don't want to remain in the comfort zone, because your spiritual life stagnates then, I guess.
Yeah, and that can happen a lot, to your point as well. That can happen a lot for us, for a lot of us, as we start to work. Like, many people come to Christian consciousness maybe when they're a student or something, and then when they work, they get their first job, they find, oh wow, a lot of my time is going towards this now, and my energy, and my weekends, I just want to relax. But we have to make an endeavour, like, otherwise we'll just, like I said, we'll stagnate and we won't feel fulfilled, and actually Krishna might even take us a step back. Like, speaking from my experience, I felt this, that the times where I've let the quality of my chanting slip, I can feel it, that Krishna just like, it's like, come on man, like you know better. Like you know what the standard is, you need to get it. Like not just, I chant my 16 rounds, but whether they're good quality rounds sometimes. There can be good days and bad days. Sometimes we're rushing, we have to get them done, we're up late or something. But if that becomes the constant routine that we're following, then something has to change. And if we're losing taste for the chanting, that's like the first sign of trouble. Because if we lose taste, then at one point, and we lose this association that nourishes us, then eventually we'll think, why is it important that I chant? And then we'll stop chanting, and then we'll stop thinking it's important.
What is the reason for losing taste in your chanting?
The most important one to avoid is the offences. We have 10 offences for chanting Krishna's holy names, and those should be always avoided. But also to remain enthusiastic is really important. So not just the things to say no to, but also why, like, I want to be enthusiastic in my spiritual life. Not that it becomes like a religion. Not that we just take it as a religious practice and it's Monday and I have to chant around. It's like, I get, like Muhammad who has this constant thing, right? Like what is it?
I get to chant, I want to chant.
Yeah, I get to chant, I want to chant, I love to chant, that message. And then again, as we progress, we develop more of a taste, and we connect more. We actually really look forward to chanting it.
So the service is done through ourselves then, less than for ourselves. And through that we can feel the fearlessness build, which is kind of a reward in the sense of learning, we're moving forwards.
Yeah, we're making more of a commitment, and therefore when we make a commitment towards Krishna, he reciprocates, and part of that reciprocation is that he protects us, and we'll feel fearless. We'll actually feel very bold. We'll be ready to do more and more. We'll feel very confident, just because we'll know, like, oh wow, I did that thing, and actually it worked out. And also, it worked out in all ways. And speaking from my experience, whenever we do something, we take a risk for something for Krishna, he reciprocates in a way that you never would imagine sometimes. Yeah, and you can see it. You can see, like, that's out of this world. There's so many stories we hear from Srila Prabhupada and from like his disciples, so many devotees now who are around. We also experience it in our life when we do something. We go, wow, that really worked out. That thing that service I was doing. And sometimes it can be something small. Like sometimes we can expect, like, oh wow, I did that service and like Krishna's going to appear in front of me and say, like, well done. Sometimes it might not be that. Sometimes it can be just something simple as somebody appreciating our service and Krishna speaking through them and us knowing, oh yeah, I was worried about that exact thing and this person just reassured me and that's Krishna. Like that's obvious Krishna. You know, so many of those things like happen in our life, but it has to be experienced, as we said. It's our individual relationship with Krishna. Yeah. Thank you. Is that okay? Sorry, does that answer your question? Is that
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. But yeah, no, we should like whatever we're doing, we should always be evaluating regularly like how much service am I doing. And if we're busy with studies, then we can always do something a bit smaller but with more quality. That's nice. I know one devotee is like a famous musician, and he said this some years ago. He said that every like month I make sure I go and wash pots in the kitchen for like a few hours because it keeps me humble. It means that because when he's in the musician type stuff, he's like a globally known famous musician and in Puritania, and he said, yeah, a few hours every month I have to wash pots because one, it keeps me humble. I'm doing something simple. Two, it's just between me and Krishna. No one sees me wash the pots. Everyone sees me doing the kirtan, and it's easy to make that the motivation. You know? But when I'm doing the washing pots, it connects me to actually do something with more quality. Maybe. Yeah. Thank you. Yes.
At the end, I want to share a small story of Lord Nrsimhadev.
Yeah.
Like Mataji has a point of faith and this thing. I don't know where, it's been so long I've read the story of Nrsimhadev. Like there is a small girl, she doesn't know who's Nrsimhadev, she knows the lion god. Okay? And she was, whatever she do, she was dedicated to that lion god. In the she will start the work with the lion god, chanting the name of lion god, and she will end up the work with chanting the name of lion god. And one day she was playing with the ball. She was crossed the road. By the time the big truck was on the road, and no parents were with the child, and it was about to get accident, but the one of the lion, it was a big forest behind it. The lion came and protect the child and throw the child away, and the child was protected. And the girl was explaining to the parent that the lion god came and protect me from this accident. This is the faith and this is the trust we should also have with the God in each and every activities, in our day-to-day activities. Whatever we are doing, we should get his permission, and after finishing the work, we have to thank him. That consciousness, if we have in our day-to-day life, so definitely you will develop in your spiritual life, and definitely God, Krishna will be there to protect you.
Thank you. Nice point about appreciation as well, about gratitude. As Sri Prabhupada says, you know, Krishna is giving, God is giving the sunlight, and doesn't ask for anything in return. But we know it, and the more that we're present and focused and conscious of Krishna and aware of Krishna, then we see all these things, and we're just supremely grateful.
And the girl, she doesn't have much knowledge about the God. She just trusts whatever the parents said, and she doesn't even see the Nrsimhadev. She knows the name only in the lion god. That's it. It was nice, right? Without much knowledge, we should be in a basic, and we have to do the work properly.
Yeah, beautiful. Thanks for sharing. Yeah. We see this a lot in children, that they're so present because they're not as distracted, even though it seems externally so much sometimes. But actually when we grow up, we get so busy with so many things, and unfortunately, especially because of social media as well, we're always less present, we're always on our phones and all that kind of stuff. But we see it with kids that when you speak about something, if you speak about Krishna, they immediately can understand it pretty well. Like they accept it really well.
Actually, the kids will be attracted towards, instead of Krishna, they will attracted towards Nrsimha. Yeah. Most of the kids, during a kids class, they will attracted towards Nrsimhadev than the Krishna. Because they were hearing about Prahlad stories, and Krishna is coming and protect her in the form of lion. So they were into it, and they believe that he is going to come and protect me, because Krishna was so graceful, humble, and doing all these things, but he is so ferocious, and they have believed that most of the kids, they believe that ferocious person is going to come and protect them.
Yeah, it's nice, like for kids and for us, that we can immediately see and understand Nishinga's staff who's protecting us, who's like, he comes to protect his devotees. And it's easy to see in the life of Prahlad that he's divine, Hiranyakashipu is demoniac, and or he's devoted rather, Prahlad Maharaj is devoted, and Krishna the divine comes as Nishinga to protect the devotee. Yeah, thank you. Yes, sorry. Please.
Just on the children, I just, it's from this call, I think the animation film on Narsimha.
Yeah.
It's just amazing to watch. If anyone has not watched it, just you must do watch it. It's just incredibly beautiful. That film, especially the way they've narrated the story. And even though I know the story, but when you see the animation, it was just really good. I think as adults as well, I think enjoy it. Share it.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I actually haven't seen it. Interestingly,
Oh, it's
amazing. Yeah, I've heard amazing things about it.
It's
Maybe we need to do like a
really
Cooley movie night or something.
Yes, absolutely. It's really good.
I bet,
Absolutely good. It was just, I was just hooked. I said, oh, let me just start. I was just bored, and I said, and I couldn't get off.
Yeah.
I was just watching till the end. I said, it was just so amazing.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Yeah. I need to. Anyone else? Any questions? Okay, thank you so much. Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai.
She's great, especially for